How can you protect your peace in a negative world? I've got the answers for you in today's video. Well, hey friend, whether you have someone in your life who is just so darn negative that just drains your energy, or you're trying to experience peace in a world that is anything but peaceful, in a world that just is going against everything God intended, finding that peace, experiencing peace in the midst of all of that can be really, really hard. My name is Tammy from the website Footprints of Inspiration and a Faithful God podcast, and I help women let go of those unrealistic expectations, let go of that need for perfection, in their faith walk, so they can show up perfectly imperfect and draw closer to God. Create a deep and meaningful relationship with Him. Now, today I'm going to share with you 4 things that you can do to protect your peace, to experience that peace, whether you have someone in your life that is just negative and exhausting you, or you're tired and drained just from this crazy, messy, hard life we live in. So let's get started. Number 1, establish boundaries. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. You're probably thinking what I like to call those yeah buts. Yeah, but Tammy, aren't boundaries a negative thing? Won't boundaries cause more, turmoil in my life? The thing is, we've been conditioned all our life to think of boundaries as a bad thing. And boundaries are not a bad thing at all. In fact, they're not only a good thing, they're a God thing. You see, all throughout the Bible, God established boundary after boundary to teach us right living, to help us live in a way that honors God, but lives in a way that keeps us peace, even in the midst of the hard, painful things, that we go through. Boundaries aren't just a good thing. They're a God thing. And so we have to change our perspective. We have to change the way we see boundaries, and just set up those healthy boundaries to protect ourselves, to help us live in healthy ways. They're designed to help you keep your peace and protect you. It's okay, and not just okay, but it's a good thing for you to set boundaries, my friend. Number 2, we need to stay close to God in prayer. It's not enough for us to pray in the morning before we head off to work or head into whatever it is we've got to do today. It's not enough to pray just when we pour ourselves into bed every night. We've got to create a deep and meaningful conversation, continual conversation with God all throughout the day. Prayer doesn't have to look a certain way. It doesn't have to be elaborate. We don't need a formal place in order to pray. We've got to stay connected to God in prayer. And as we do that, and before, number 1, if we're talking about just the things going on in the world, we stay connected to Him over and over and over again throughout the day in prayer. Again, just regular conversations with God. Number 2, if it's that we're about to be around someone who is just draining our energy, who is exhausting to be around because they are so darn negative, we've got to spend time in prayer before we begin, or before we get to or spend time with this person. We've got to go to God and ask, Lord, you know what, this is a relationship in my life that is hard. It's a draining relationship, an exhausting relationship. Help me to experience your peace in the midst of it. You see, we've got to stop looking to ourselves. We've got to stop looking inward for our peace and instead finding that peace in God. This isn't something we achieve on our own. Peace is something we receive by spending time in God's presence. So we've got to stay connected to Him in prayer. Number 3, you've got to learn to control your reactions. Hey friend, I know this isn't easy. This is a really hard thing to do. This is when the rubber meets the road, where we as Christians have to stand up and say, all right, if I'm as a Christian, I know I'm not going to walk it out perfectly, but I'm going to do my best to do better today than I did yesterday. So as I'm around this person, help me, Lord, right? We go back to step number 2, asking God, staying in constant communication with God, going to God in prayer beforehand and saying, Lord, help me control my reactions. You know, something I taught, my husband and I both taught our kids growing up is we can't control what happens to us. There are so many things that go on throughout our day that we cannot control, but we can control our reaction to the situation. We can control our reaction to the negativity. Now, I'm not saying this is easy to do. Not at all. This takes a lot of practice. This takes a lot of diligence. This isn't about walking it out perfectly. It's about walking it out every messy step at a time. It's about going to God and saying, oh, Lord, you know what? I didn't do that as well. I didn't react as well as I would have liked to. Remind me to react better next time. I want to do better today, Lord, than I did yesterday. I'm going to be very, very honest with you. One thing you'll learn about me, if you don't already know, is that I don't teach from up here. I don't teach up here. I teach in the trenches with you. I'm a very reactionary person. I'm someone that reacts like that. And I have to make sure that I am staying in constant communication with God throughout the day so that my reactions are better, so that my reactions reflect His love and His light better. Because if I do it in my own strength, if I react in my own ways, I guarantee you it's not a pretty sight. I react in a way that is not shining brightly for God. I react in a way that, quite honestly, afterwards I look and go, wow, I look bad in all of that as well. So we've got to stay, again, number 2 was stay in constant or continual communication with God. So we've got to do that. And number 3, we've got to learn, but through that, asking God for help by learning to control the reaction to our situations. Number 4, focus on gratitude. Cultivate a spirit of gratitude in your life. You see, we've got to learn to cultivate a spirit of thankfulness. We have to learn in those moments, whether it's in this world, this negative world, or whether it's someone in our life that is draining our energy, draining our spirit, our peace, all the things, right? We've got to learn to foster and cultivate a spirit of gratitude. And the way we can do this, something that I always do, if I'm going into a situation that is difficult for me, that stresses me out, that causes me anxiety, that steals my peace, I choose one thing to focus on, one thing that I can be thankful for in this moment, no matter what's happening around me, no matter what's trying to drain or take away my peace. And I take that one thing, let's say, for instance, I'm going to be going into a situation where I'm going to be all day, dealing with something all day that steals my peace. I will find that one thing before I go into this situation, one thing that I will choose to be thankful for. I want this to be quick and easy for you, so it's quick and easy to do as you start to feel anxious, as you start to feel tired and weary from this, being around this negativity, right? And so all throughout the day, when you start to feel it, what you do then is you stop, set your mind on God, and thank Him for that one thing you're grateful for, right? This helps us foster and cultivate a spirit of thankfulness. This teaches us how to be thankful in a world that is negative, around people who are negative. This teaches us so much about learning to rely on God and being grateful that even in this time that is exhausting me, I still have so much to be thankful for. Now, is this easy to do? Absolutely not. Will it require practice? You bet it will. You're going to have to get persistent and consistent in fostering a spirit of gratitude in the midst of this negativity. It's going to take practice. It's going to require you, again, to get consistent and persistent. But the more you do it, the easier it'll become. Eventually, it'll become second nature. When something starts to stress you out, go right back to that thing that day that you're choosing to be thankful for in it. I'm telling you, my friend, it works every time. Now, listen, if you need a little bit more help with a spirit of gratitude to really cultivate that spirit of gratitude, I'm going to put a video on the screen. I'm also going to put a link in the show notes for episode number 145, where I actually talk about and teach you how to cultivate, like practical ways to show up and cultivate that spirit of thankfulness. When you learn to do that, that's when you will begin to break free from that negativity, to break free and find and experience that peace, even in a negative world, even around those people that are just exhausting you. I know it's not easy, my friend, but it's possible. It's possible. So again, I just want to remind you of what we talked about. Number 1, establish boundaries. Boundaries aren't just a good thing, they're a God thing. Number 2, stay close to God in prayer. stay in continual communication with him, both throughout the day and as you go into these negative situations. Number 3, control your reaction to the situation. And again, you don't have to do this on your own. We go to God and we make that ask. Lord, help me control my reaction to the situation. And number 4, cultivate that spirit of thankfulness. Now, my friend, if this blessed you today, if this is something you're thinking, you know what, I really needed this, I'm feeling so drained and so weary right now. Here's what I want you to do. Give me a big thumbs up, if you will, letting me know that you like this. Drop a comment below. Here's the thing. My team and I love praying for our community. My team and I, we actually have an ongoing prayer list for our community. Drop it in the comments below and we will come together and pray, and pray with you, stand with you and pray for you. We love doing that. But also what I want you to do is be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any of these videos where I am teaching you how to let go of those unrealistic expectations, how to let go of that need for perfection, that need to check off all the boxes of that good, check off all the boxes of the good, Bible study girl, right? If you need this in your life, subscribe to the channel, my friend, and then listen. I will meet you back here in the next video.